Microphone, microphone. Up, Kathy's here. I just made it. I just made it. Talk about cutting it close. Yeah, Ronbo's here. I'm waiting. You know, with this new medication delivery company at the hospital, they don't give me a time. It's like, hey, Dr. Bob's here. They tell you it'll be anywhere between 2 and 8. I said, can you like narrow it down a little bit for me? No. And the new company doesn't have a tracker anymore. You used to be able to track them. Now a map comes up and it shows my house, Metro Parma, and then the delivery company is like up over in Twinsburg or out in Geneva, and the bubble doesn't move. So you don't know where your medication is. I had to run up to Mark's. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, So my medication finally gets here. 5 to 6. I'm like, oh man. I'm racing through the store. I get home. I get the groceries put away. It's 12 minutes to 7. I was like, shit, I got to get in, turn computers on, and get things rolling. Speaking of, broadcasting from station WDWL TV Studio 1. And our corporate offices are located on Grumpy Vulture Boulevard. And my studios are located on Grumpy Old Man Road. And you first timers, I am the Grumpy Old Man. Now, with that out of the way, man, it got up to 83 here today. Man, I was hoping for warm weather to put the master cylinder on. Holy shit. I had to push the truck into the shade. Yeah, Linda's here. Well, Ron, just be thankful your heart's beating. 39 beats a minute. Jesus. I think dolphins' hearts beat about 30 times a minute. Well, I was going to say to raise your blood pressure, just eat a little salt. But how do you get your heart rate to go faster than 39 beats a minute? I don't know. To raise blood pressure, I know the doctor, even though they hate to do it, they'll say, eat a little salt on your food. That's what they told my buddy's wife. She, she doesn't use salt when she cooks. She makes sure that anything she buys is like super low sodium. They get, low sodium this, low sodium that, Well, her blood pressure was starting to get in the low range. And the doctor asked her, he said, how much salt do you eat? And she goes, oh, none. He goes, well, fill a salt shaker and start using it. And she's telling me, oh, God, do I hate the taste of salt. It's been so long. She'll buy the stick pretzels, the big stick pretzels. She'll walk over to the sink and she'll peel all the salt off. I just like, that's the best part of a pretzel. She said it's been like probably 30 years since she actually had a salt shaker. I told her, I said, don't invite me over for dinner. I'll have to bring my own goddamn salt shaker. When's the last time you saw somebody light a cigarette with a matchbook? Since I found that shoebox full in the closet, I've been using them. My buddy's father would have heart failure. They traveled all over the country, and everywhere they went, he brought back a book of matches. His son didn't want them. He told me to throw them out. I was like, I'll use them. I could see every time I strike a match, his father's like, oh, God, no. Let's see where these are from. For dinner reservations, call 449-3927. Jack's Gourmet Restaurant and Lounge, Columbia, Missouri. You can tell how old that is. No area code. I wonder if Jack's Columbia, Missouri is still going. Of course, there's no date in this matchbook. It would be nice to know how old they are. Jack's Gourmet Restaurant. Not just Jack's Restaurant. Jack's Gourmet Restaurant and Lounge, Columbia, Missouri. You know, they used to put, well, it's all dried out. You can see it. They used to put like a little dab of lighter fluid right after the match head so that when you ignited it, it would burn down the stick and last longer. This ain't working. Of course, it doesn't help to have the ceiling fan on. Let's go with the crappy Ronson. Jeez, it worked for a change. The other book is from Caesar's Palace. Good old Caesar's Palace. Las Vegas. Oh, this has an area code. 701-731-7110. Man, all the stuff inside this matchbook. Oh, it has a 24-hour restaurant and coffee shop. Delightful hideaway lounges. Colorful Italian dining salon. Oh, authentic Japanese steakhouse. Bacchanal, gourmet dining at its finest. Circus Maximus. See the greats of show business. Man, they put everything they could inside that matchbook. Yeah, my buddy was telling me from the time his parents got married, every year they would go on a 2 or 3 week vacation. And everywhere they stopped, they'd get a matchbook. So if they stayed at a certain motel on the way to like Vegas, ate at a certain restaurant, there's a shoebox full from all over the place. And they didn't fly. They drove. He was saying he can remember when he was young, his father would drive until he couldn't drive anymore. Then him and his mother would switch seats. His mother would drive until she couldn't drive. Meanwhile, Dad is sleeping. I'm like, God, by the time you got to where you were going, it took you 2-3 days to frickin' recover. But they drove like 24 hours a day to get to like Vegas. And that was before freeways. You know, they might get on the turnpike, but there weren't, you know, back in the 50s and 60s, there weren't the freeway systems like we have now. Must have been a hell of a way to take a vacation. Although I remember my neighbor and his wife, they would drive out to California because her sister lived out there. Man, oh God, you had to be beat to death by the time you got to your location. Ben, at the store today. This woman is letting her toddler carry a bag of flour. And the toddler, all right, I'll say like 3 years old, not toddler, okay? And he's going down the aisle and he's throwing the bag up and catching it. Instead of holding onto it, they get up to the cash register and he really throws it up and he misses it. Poof, the flour explodes and goes everywhere. Then he's going to attempt to scoop it back into the package. And he's like playing in it. I'll get it back, Mom. I'll get it. Parents today, I don't know. I just. It's almost as bad as, these parents that turn their kids loose and the kids will sample cookies and sample potato chips and eat what they want, put the bag on the shelf. Like I did to that one woman. Oh, God. She was pissed at me. Her little darlings opened probably, well, let's see, potato chips, stick pretzels, Funyuns, and then 3 or 4 packs of cookies. And they were putting them back on the shelves. And she's nowhere to be found. So I gathered all the stuff up and I put it in my cart. And I'm watching where these kids are going. And then they finally hook up with Mom and they get to the cash register. So she puts all the shit on the belt. When she gets done, I put all these open packages on the belt. And the cashier goes to ring, and the woman goes, "That's not mine, that's his." I says, "Oh no, ma'am, that's all yours. This is all the stuff your kids sampled while you were nowhere to be found in the store." And she goes, "I'm not paying for that stuff." Well, the manager was at the service desk, and I'm going like, "Come here." So he comes down, he goes, "What can I help you with?" I said, "Well, you're going to have to help her." And she goes, "I don't need a manager." And I said, "Yes, you do. Because you're refusing to pay for all this stuff that I physically watched your children open, eat a little bit, and put back on the shelf." And the manager said, "Yes, ma'am, that's your merchandise." Oh, looks could have killed. And they have a lot of theft up at that store. Here's how bad the theft is. All the frozen seafood like crab legs and lobster tails, and they have it in a locked freezer in the front of the store. People were stealing, and it got so bad that they had to buy a special freezer to put this stuff in and lock it up. Matter of fact, they have 20, well, not 24/7, but they have armed security now too. Because some woman one day threatened the girl at the service desk with a gun. The next day, every Mark's store had armed security. And of course, all the big signs, with the X through it. And then people wonder why prices keep going up. You know that whatever that security company is charging Marks, he's not eating that. That's being built into the cost of merchandise. If inflation isn't bad enough, and people look at prices and they're like, holy shit, why is it so expensive? Well, now and I can't remember how many stores he has. They're all over Ohio. Because he bought Bernie Schulman's and turned them into Mark's stores. Let's say he's got 30 stores throughout Ohio. He probably has more. Every store now has armed security. You know what that bill comes to every month? And you think he's going to absorb it? Oh, no. That's getting factored in to your toothpaste and your laundry detergent and your lunch meat and your dry goods groceries and oh, Linda, he's got cameras all over the store too. You ought to see behind the service desk. There must be 12 of them behind the service desk. But they're all over the store. And he has to pay a couple of employees to sit and watch monitors to monitor all them cameras. Well, their wages are getting factored into the cost of merchandise. He's not going to eat any of that. Although it's gotten so hard to get people to work, he's now hiring 15-year-olds. Big sign. We now hire 15-year-olds. And at the rate it's going with these kids who don't want to work, the sign one day is going to say, we're hiring 5-year-olds. Oh yeah, Linda, and he, if they catch you shoplifting, he does prosecute. He has informed all of the service desk employees. If there is somebody caught shoplifting, call the police and I will prosecute. I don't care if they steal a toothbrush. I can almost imagine what it costs for 2 security guards per store times 7 days a week times 30 or 40 stores, and that gets passed on to us. We are paying for that security, and we're paying for all them cameras and the people to watch. God, I remember I worked part-time at Sears for a while, and I got to see their loss prevention department. It was unbelievable how many cameras they had in that store. And I'm talking back in the 90s. And a friend of mine used to work in loss prevention at Walmart. God. Walmart has cameras probably like every 5 feet in that store. You can't get away with anything in Walmart. Well, I was just kidding, Linda, but he is hiring 15-year-olds. Because they can't get anybody to work. As a matter of fact, the day the woman pulled the gun, I missed it by about 20 minutes. I come in the store, there were police everywhere. Oh, geez. And the one assistant manager that I know, I said to him, what the hell's going on here? He goes, oh, somebody pulled a gun on Susan. I was like, what? I can't. He told me what the argument was over. Something stupid. And the woman started to get hot headed. And of course, I know Susan. God, this is a woman that wouldn't say shit if she had a mouthful. And it just escalated and escalated, and the woman said, I should shoot your ass. And she pulled a gun out. And then she put the gun back in her purse or whatever, and she ran out of the store. But they did arrest her because she was dumb enough to come in the store 2 days later. God, they knew who she was. Her picture was everywhere. I know they have a couple of loss prevention people that wander the store. Matter of fact, when I used to go to Walmart, I knew the one. I'll tell you what, some of these loss prevention people, you can spot them a mile away. This guy would have like a toothbrush. And he would walk the whole store carrying this toothbrush. You knew he was loss prevention. He didn't have a cart. He didn't have a basket, one toothbrush. Then the one day he caught somebody shoplifting, and I was like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. And I'll tell you, Walmart has some of the best cameras made. They invest a fortune in cameras. When the 4K cameras came out, Walmart changed all the cameras in all the stores. And boy, I'll tell you what, they can zoom right in too. Of course, the biggest theft is skip scanners. And people are idiots. There's a camera right over your head, pointed down at the scanner. You think they don't see you with 4 pair of jeans in your hand and you scan one? Although I saw on the news the other day, these 2 girls were in Target and they filled a grocery cart with clothing. And then as they got to the register, the 2 of them picked up speed and shoved that cart out the door into the parking lot, threw the shit in the trunk of their car, and took off. Except they weren't paying attention, because at the edge of the parking lot happened to be a police cruiser. The cop was taking a break, and he saw the car bullet out of the parking lot, and he took off, and the pursuit was on. And they got him, I think they had almost $3,000 worth of clothing. But as they got to the register, there was one girl on each side of the cart, and they just picked up speed like it was a cart race. Out the door, into the parking lot. And what's nice about a lot of these new SUVs, you push the button and the tailgate. So they're running through the parking lot. She pushes the button. The tailgate opens up. They throw the shit in the back. Push the button. Tailgate closes. And off they go. And everybody's like, oh, I love these power tailgates. Yeah, wait until it breaks. See how much it costs to fix it. All these luxury items on these cars, people don't realize one of these days, you keep that car long enough, something major is going to break. And your bumper-to-bumper warranty does not cover your infotainment center. That sucker goes out. That's almost $2,000 to fix that thing. I know because the infotainment center went out in my sister's Ford Edge. And luckily, she bought the extra warranty insurance and got it covered under warranty. You got to read the fine print on the bumper to bumper. It only covers powertrain, not infotainment. Gee, I didn't see that in the news. Wow. God, I read this morning. Oh, talk about sad. I can't remember what state. This guy offs his wife, offs his 2 kids, and then offs himself. And I'm thinking, all right, you and your wife aren't getting along. Now, that's not the way to solve things. Why the kids? They're innocent. They didn't do anything. And I've seen this so many times. Why the kids? Yeah, they'll grow up traumatized. But sooner or later, maybe they'll get over it and live a normal life. Can you imagine your dad walking into your bedroom and you're looking down the barrel? I don't understand it. I don't understand why the kids. Linda, that's almost as stupid as some of these idiots that film themselves. And then they put it on TikTok and they put it on Facebook. There was this guy, it was several years ago. he had a really hopped up Porsche, and he would speed down the thruway into New York City, and they could never catch the guy. Well, after a while, the idiot films himself going down the thruway like 130 miles an hour and puts it up on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And a couple days later, they show up at his house. And he was like, I've been doing this for a year. How is it all of a sudden you caught me? They said, well, we searched social media and we found you. Yeah, he would blow down that throughway at 130, 140 miles an hour. And it got to be the point, they wouldn't even chase him. Because they knew they couldn't catch up with him. And when he would leave, he would take a different way home. And he wouldn't speed going home, just going into the city. And he had done it so many times, he started filming himself. Do a little video. And I can't remember. Oh man, it was like he had like $10,000 in tickets. They impounded his Porsche. It's no different than these idiots that will film themselves committing a murder. And they're like, I didn't do that. And then the police play the video. Is this you? Yeah. Well, it looks like you're the one that did it. Matter of fact, I saw a video of a murder in Akron. And the idiot dropped his cell phone. Nothing like leaving a calling card, And then they're interviewing him. And he was like, oh, no, I didn't do that. No. They said, well, you were seen in the area. Yeah, I dropped my cell phone. I was looking for it. Yeah, it's laying right next to the guy he shot, Well, Linda, every major police department now has a division where people just scan TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and these idiots are dumb enough to post this shit, thinking, oh, nobody will see this. It's almost as bad as, every cell phone can be geo-tracked. And these idiots, they don't stop and think, gee, shut the cell phone off, leave it at home. No. Their cell phone, it pings off of every tower. It was like the one show I watched last night. The guy gives his wife the permanent dirt nap, and then he's dumb enough to go. They lived in two separate areas. He lived out in the country. She lived like in just on the outskirts of the city. He's text messaging her friends. I'm on an extended vacation or blah, 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 and the cell phones are out in the country at his house pinging off the same tower. And he was like, how the hell did you figure this out? Well, yeah, we know. It's a little odd that both your cell phone and your wife's cell phone are right here. And you've been sending messages all week on her cell phone to her friends and employer. And now they have, what do they call it? Linguists? I think they're linguists. That they will study messages. And they can spot when someone else is sending the message. By the way they form their words, by the way they put their commas. Yeah, linguists, I think they call them. And they go through all the text messages, and then they're like, well, here, on the second, there's no comma here, and they spelled this word wrong. You can't get away with shit today. You're tracked everywhere. And I mean, more and more cities are putting in more and more cameras. But one place you can't get away with shit is over in England. Holy Christ. They showed they have a big operation center. And it's several floors. And they have people monitoring certain areas, like, okay, you're going to watch from West 4th Street to West 10th. And the person from next to you is going to watch from West 10th to West 20th. And cameras everywhere. Over in England, you don't get away with shit. Not to mention, they have the automatic license plate readers. If you get on one of the carriageways, it's reading every license plate of every vehicle. And if they happen to get your license number, they put it in the system and it brings up, okay, you were on the carriageway at 7:05 p.m. heading east. You got off at exit 12. You went down Country Lane Road to Pixie Drive, to Aardvark Avenue. You don't even try to commit a crime in England. And their forensics department, oh my God, they are centuries ahead of the United States with their forensics. Holy Christ. Well, Linda, I said there's a lot of stuff on Facebook that should not be monetized. But if you get a lot of hits, Facebook makes money. There is so much stuff that, like Todd, he shouldn't be monetized. I don't know, does he have 10,000 subscribers? I think, what do you got? You have to have 10,000, I think, in order to be monetized. I don't even look at it because I'll never make a dime off of Facebook. I think in order to apply for monetization, you've got to have at least 10,000 subscribers. Maybe 5. I think it's 10. And if you're putting up a bunch of illegal stuff, it shouldn't be monetized. It's like Facebook or not YouTube, not Facebook. YouTube is paying you to be a criminal, just about. How many subscribers did our buddy have? Because I know he was monetized. Not to mention Mr. Harlow supporting him with his $4.99 3, 4, 5, 6 times a night, just so he could get his comment read. Now I think he's supporting Dr. Dave now, isn't he? Hard to believe what people waste their money on. Is Kaiser Channel still up, or did it get taken down? I haven't even bothered to look. I thought for sure Kimmy would be running it. Yeah, but you know, Linda, these companies don't care because they're banking on you actually clicking on that ad and maybe buying something. That's what they're banking on. Even if it's 1 out of 100, they're making money. It's still up? Wow. Is Kimmy running it now? I wonder if Kimmy's still staying with his mother. Oh yeah, I know Mama Kaiser didn't because the day he had that seizure, she couldn't figure out how the hell to shut the goddamn. How do I shut this camera off? How do I? I think she unplugged the computer. Because he was live with JJ. Another person that jumped ship like a rat. God, every time he would talk about Kimmy, oh, I love that woman so much. I wanted to gag. And Kimmy Dawn was first in the chat. Oh, I love that woman so much. Blah. Gagged me with a fork. Although I heard that JJ was not going to run for re-election. Mainly because his nurse girlfriend is making enough for both of them. Oh, wasn't that sickening, Linda? Oh, I love that woman so much. Blah. And then I loved when he would act like she's in the next room, you know. How you doing, Kimmy? And you never heard any response, you know. Because one day I was like, tell her to come out and get on camera. Oh, she's too busy. That was before he threw me off and banned me and had all his moderators block me and everything. So one day he was like, how you doing, Kimmy? And I said, well, tell her to come out and show her face. And you knew she wasn't in the next room. I wonder, once he got sentenced, if she circulated her photos again. Miss Lonely Heart, I'm available again. Here's my pictures. I never saw them. Josh had them. And I asked Josh to send them to me, and he wouldn't. He had them, and I don't know if Jeff had them. Although I think she sent them to Scotto, which I thought was a riot. She sent all them sexy photos to Scotto. Scotto probably opened them and went, blah. No way. I can imagine the shocked look on his face. Oh, really? I can't believe Whitehead would hire him. I just can't believe it. Oh, I knew there was one lawsuit, 3. Holy shit. No wonder he quit. But I can't believe Ray. Oh, God. What the hell was Ray thinking? Talk about being hard up for employees. Jesus. Unbelievable. I knew about one lawsuit. I didn't know there were 3. And you know damn right well. First of all, they won't go to court. They'll try to, here, we'll give you X dollars. Take the money and run, please. God, when did the other 2 get filed? Although, I quit following all that shit. Matter of fact, I hardly follow anybody anymore. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to catch up on where I left off with G2. And I'm going to have to check Shiz's website, see if she got anything new posted. Oh shit, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Holy Christ. Well, those won't get settled out of court. Unbelievable. problem is with them being civil, you can't really follow them too much. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Jailer wasn't doing his job. I'm shocked at that Ray Whitehead, though. God, what was that guy thinking? Because I remember there were a couple of times old Ray was live on Kaiser's channel a couple of times. It's all corrupt down there. God, it's amazing in the last couple of years how many sheriffs and chief of police they've arrested. Yeah, it's a different generation. You can't run, you can't try to run the good old boy network anymore. It's going to blow up in your face, and so many of these sheriffs, they do that. Gee, the high-powered, high-paid nurse didn't get help in time? She's not earning that big paycheck. I wonder if she got a pay cut. Christ, she was getting paid more than some of the judges, I think. She was making a fortune. I wonder if JJ finally married her. Although, hey, if you're getting the milk for free, why buy the cow, Oops. Gotta watch that. That's glass over there. You don't want to be breaking that. I found my other mount. It's a vertical. I think I'm going to add one more computer because I have another one of these small mini form factors. I'm going to put one more monitor up above this one, over here. I don't know what I'll put on it. Yeah, I did some measuring today. Actually, what I would like to do is I've got a 32-inch curve monitor, a gaming monitor. I'd like to put that up there. Hey, Joey, what's going on? Welcome to the shit show. Boy, did I luck out. You know, I told you for the last 4 days I've been spraying Blaster on the bolts for the master cylinder and also on the 2 brake lines. Because, you know, they looked all corroded and everything, and I figured, oh man, I gotta put new lines on. I took the wrench and the one fitting cracked loose, and I was like, oh. So I spun it a couple of threads. I sprayed the shit out of it, and I tightened it back down. I went over to the other one, which was really got corrosion on it. Cracked the fitting. I was like, oh man, I don't have to change any brake lines. And then the bolts that were holding the master cylinder on the power booster looked really rusty. I was like, everything came apart perfect. It was the fastest I've ever swapped a master cylinder in my life. And it was the correct one. Thank God. I just have to bleed the back ones a little more. They're not quite grabbing enough. But man, did I luck out. Oh, God. And that master cylinder was bad. When I took it off the power booster, you could see it was leaking. So it was losing air. Although you figure what, that master cylinder's original, 30 years old. But I couldn't believe them 30-year-old brake lines, them fittings came loose. Oh, God. So I popped it on, I tightened everything down. It took me probably 20 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I don't get that lucky. Something was on my side today because I don't get that lucky. But everything came apart. No stripped threads, nothing. Oh, man. I'll tell you, my grandfather used Blaster back in the day. And I swear by that stuff. I really do. I think soaking everything down twice a day for 4 days helped me out. Matter of fact, I have a spare can right over there on the shelf. I always have a can of Blaster in my vehicles. Always. I make up, and everybody laughs at me. I have two wire baskets. They're about 18 by 24, and they're probably like 10 inches high. And I'll have blaster, I'll have a can of brake fluid, a thing of power steering fluid, a quart or so of oil, antifreeze, and then a small tool kit, and my jumper cables, and a first aid kit, and spare bulbs, because my vehicles still have bulbs. And I make one up for each vehicle. And my son's like, oh, that stuff takes up so much room in the trunk. Not really. I only use the trunk for groceries. Matter of fact, I think it was $5. I bought a first aid kit off of Temu. I figured, what a joke. It was amazing, the stuff that was inside that first aid kit. For $5, I was shocked. Matter of fact, as soon as I got it, I bought another one. Now, I may never have to use it, but it's nice to have it in the vehicle, just in case. I'm trying to think what else I carry in there. Oh, I've got 4 valve stems. You never know when some idiot is going to pull one out for fun, or you're going to rub up against a curb and snap one. I got valve stems in there. I got a valve stem core removing tool. What else have I got? Air pressure gauge. I always check my tires. I'll have to look. I've got a miscellaneous envelope of shit too. But once a week I check the air pressure in all my tires. And I don't keep it in the car. Oh, you ought to see the nice dual piston air pump that I've got. It's got a digital gauge on it. Got a little light on it. I bought it off of Amazon on sale. It was like regularly $99.99, and I think I paid like $49.99 for it. Oh my God, best air pump I've ever owned. It's outstanding. And it's a dual piston, which is really nice. Fills the tires faster. Of course, I'm OCD, but plus, and my son laughs at me, I carry a pretty thick blanket. And I used to carry granola bars. Because you never know if you're going to get stuck somewhere in the winter and you need a blanket to keep warm. People don't think like that. You know, when you're in a snowy region, you should carry a heavy blanket in your car. Because you never know when you might need it. And everybody's like, what are you carrying a blanket in the car for? I'm not freezing to death. Matter of fact, Mary Ann carries not only a blanket, she carries 2 pair of wool socks and mittens. She has mittens that have rabbit fur lining. I draw the line at the wool socks and the mittens. But when you're in a snowy region, you never know. You know, you could slide off the freeway and end up in a bit of a gully, and if they're plowing snow, they're going to just throw snow over the top of your car. And then you're sitting there freezing. I mean, that's kind of going overboard, but yeah, that was something my grandfather said. Always carry a blanket. Okay, whatever you say. Oh, that's another thing. I carry a roll of paper towels, but I stopped carrying water because I would forget about it and it would fucking freeze in the winter. Blow the caps off. Yeah. But I always have a roll of paper towels. But the water, if you forget about it in the winter, it freezes. And what good does it do you? But it's a good idea. Because it's amazing. Yeah, those airbags will burn the shit out of you. Anybody that's ever got hit in the face with an airbag said, oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, you got to stop and think. There's a detonator and an explosive to blow that bag. I've heard that from anytime somebody got hit in the face with an airbag, they always complained about getting burned. And now, shit, they got airbags that the whole car gets filled with airbags nowadays. They come out of the steering wheel, they come out of the dash, they come out of the A pillars, they come out of the B pillars, they come out of the C pillars. You get into an accident that EMS can't find you. 5,000 airbags exploded. You know, it holds 2 gauges and it has 4 electrical switches. And it mounts on the A pillar. That way I have a temperature gauge and an oil pressure gauge because I don't trust idiot lights. And then the switches are for my lights or whatever. I noticed I can't use it in the Passat because the Passat has an airbag in the A pillar. I don't know where I'm going to mount this thing because I can't mount it on the A pillar anymore. Because I was doing a test fit. I was like, oh, I don't have to buy a different one. And then I looked at the top, it says airbag. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, the damn car has an airbag in the steering wheel, an airbag in the dash, airbags in the A pillars. I didn't look to see if they got them in the B and the C pillars. I would tend to think so. Now I'm going to have to get one of those, either get a twin gauge mount for the top of the dash or I don't like them underneath because I don't tend to look down there. I like my gauges right in front of me. Because by the time an idiot light comes on, you're an idiot because your motor's shot. And with this thing being the first turbocharged engine I've ever owned, I want to keep an eye on the oil pressure, keep an eye on the coolant temperature. And boy, that thing would have fit it. It was like a perfect fit. I was like, oh, I don't have to buy another one because they're like $60. And I just happened to look up and it said airbag. Yeah, there goes that idea. Although it's nice that I've got the extra protection, it's just now I have to figure another place to put the gauges. And I do that in every vehicle. I've got them on the dash on the shit box. And I've got them on the A pillar in the RAV4. Every single car I've ever had, I put in real gauges. I don't trust that shit on the dashboard. Plus, like, the water temperature gauge is digital. I like that one because when you got a needle, this way it tells me 170, 180, 190, I know the exact temperature of the cooling system and going through the motor. And I'll tell you, the newer the car, the harder they are to install now. Not to mention, like, on the RAV4, and I noticed on the Passat, it has a double firewall. It's not like the old days where it was nothing more than a piece of sheet metal. You could drill a hole through it and run a wire. No, can't do that anymore. All these cars with all these crush areas make it harder and harder for me to wire stuff. Matter of fact, I wish Jim's son would show up here. Goddamn car gotta be out of probate pretty soon. Like forever. And I think him and I have sealed a deal on the Corvette. There could be a Corvette convertible in Grumpy's future here real soon. Because nobody wants it. All the guys that were bidding on it all backed out. They were like, Although the scary thing is, his son has no idea why his father parked it. He told me Jim drove every single vehicle. Now, I know why he parked the Passat. Because the sunroof motor burned out and the motor in the rear door burned out. So the wind is halfway down and the sunroof is open 2 inches. I have since put a tarp over the car. But what is wrong with that Corvette kind of scares me. Nobody takes a perfectly good car and just parks it. Although you have to know Jim. Yeah. It would be nice if there was nothing wrong with it. Although by the time I get it, I can't put the top down anyway. I'll be the typical old man driving around in a Corvette. Even if it is almost 40 years old. With crappy paint. Oh, the paint on that thing is nasty. It's sad. The clear coats delaminate all over the place. Then on the front fender, the red paint delaminated off the fiberglass. It's a sad-looking car. But it's still a Corvette. 6-speed. I can't wait to drive it. Although, like I say, by the time I get it, it'll be winter. Let's hope it has a good heater. That's what I like about the shitbox. Oh my God, that truck. It's got a heater like a furnace. That heater in that thing is unbelievable. Usually, during the winter, I'm cold all the time. I'll have the heater all the way, blower fan high. In the shitbox, I actually have to turn it down and put the blower fan on 2 instead of 4. Otherwise, that thing will cook me out. That's another reason I want to get rid of that truck. It's got the best heater in it I have ever had in any vehicle. Now, the RAV4 is close. And my son refuses to ride with me. He don't like a lot of heat. In the winter, he drives with the window down. He'll get in my truck and go, Jesus Christ, he'll roll the window down and tell, roll that window up. You're burning me out. I'm cold. Oh, the Chevy trucks from the 50s, they were cool looking. They really were. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think what year it was really a sleek. It didn't look like a pickup truck. Even the Dodge trucks back in the 50s. But I can't remember what year Chevy. They were really styled nice. It didn't look like a pickup. It looked more like a car. Although I'll tell you, if you take a Ford F-150 from the 50s and you pull it up next to a Ford F-150 today, holy Christ. If you put a 1950s pickup next to a brand new one, the new one looks like a frickin' semi. It's hard to believe how much bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger pickup trucks got over the years. God, I remember my uncle had I think it was a 48 or 49 GMC pickup. Bare bones. Didn't even have a radio in it. And if you were to take and pull that truck today up to a Silverado, it's like, even the Ford Rangers today are the size of a 1950s pickup truck. mean, it's amazing how they've just grown and grown and grown and grown. A week or so ago, there was a guy, he had a Ford Maverick. And he pulled in next to me. Now, the Ford Maverick is supposed to be a little, the little small Ford pickup. It was bigger than my shitbox. Today's Maverick is about the size of what the Ford Ranger was when the Ranger came out. It's hard to believe how big the Ford Rangers have gotten. Well, Linda, that's why I carry this first aid kit. Now, it isn't, an advanced emergency, but it's got the basics. Yeah, isn't it unbelievable? People don't realize how big today's pickup trucks are. They're like frickin' semis compared to what we had back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They started to grow and grow and grow and grow. Here's something for you. I got a friend whose son has, what the hell year is that F-150? It's like a 2014, 2015. He works for a worldwide company. His son works for this worldwide, and he got transferred to England. And he went through all kinds of shit because he wanted to take his F-150 over there. And it took him like almost a year to get it over there with all the red tape and all the bullshit. And when he went to their Bureau of Motor Vehicles, he had to license it as a lorry. It has what we would call semi-license plates on it because it's so freaking big. He said it draws a crowd every time he goes somewhere because it's bigger than anything that they have over there. But he had to license it basically as a small semi. And then it wouldn't pass the emissions. Their emissions are a lot stricter than ours. And he had to have a different catalytic converter put on it and something else. But he said everywhere he goes, people are like, holy shit, what is that? It's a pickup truck. They're like, what? You know, their pickup trucks are about the size of a Ford Ranger, maybe a little smaller. Here he comes with this big frickin' honkin' F-150 over there. Because when they told him, well, that's considered a lorry, he said, well, what's a lorry? And the girl at the motor vehicle department went, a lorry is a semi. He went, it's a pickup truck. No, not. And then the goofy thing. When you go to the motor vehicle department, they give you what's an official document, but a piece of paper. And it's got your license number on it. And you go down the street to Joseph Fabit's license plate shop, and they print the license plate, and they're plastic. And you get a yellow one for the back and a white one for the front. And they have double stick tape on them. They stick them on their cars. Because when he went, he goes, I need a license plate. And the girl said, well, you got your license number. He said, yeah, oh no, here's a list of shops that make license plates. And you go like to a print shop. And my license number, okay. Come back in an hour, we'll have your plates for you. And they print them. And they handed them to you. And the guy told him, white one on the front, yellow one on the back. And he goes, they don't have no holes. Well, no, it's got double stick tape on it. They stick them on it. And, all right, Ron. Hope you're feeling better tomorrow. Take care of yourself. And then he was saying, when you trade in your car, the license plates go with it. When somebody buys your car, they get assigned that license number. And if you buy a new car, you have to go get new license plates. But they're plastic, and they have double stick tape. And I don't understand why the two colors. But if you notice, all the cars have white on the front and yellow on the back. But they don't screw them on. Double stick tape. They have a strange system over there. And he said, you know, like here, if I was to move to Georgia, I go into the Georgia Bureau of Motor Vehicles, I give them my Ohio license, and they give me a Georgia license. Not over in England. He had to take the test. It takes you about 6 months to get a driver's license over there. He said, I have to drive to work. Well, they told him, well, we'll give you a provisional license. He says, yeah, okay. What's that mean? Well, it's like a temporary. You have to have a licensed driver, and if you have a provisional license, you have to go to the license plate place and you get an L plate. It's a square plate with an L. And you stick that on the back of the car. And that stands for learner. You have to tell the world you have a learner's permit. Because you have to put an L on the back of your vehicle. He said, what a riot. And then they sell gasoline by the liter. We sell it by the gallon. And gasoline is like $2 a liter. Well, you got what? How many liters to a gallon? 4.5, something like that. 5. Because he when it said $2, he was like, wow, gasoline's cheap over here. We're paying $4 a gallon. You're only $2. No, that's per liter. He got a real shock when he pulled into the BP station to fill his pickup truck up. Over here it cost him like $60 to fill his pickup. Over there it cost him like $130. He's like, well, we ain't gonna be doing no country driving around here. And then, like he was saying, with them driving on the opposite side, when you come to a street corner, you have to stop and think when you're going to make a turn. And he says everything is roundabouts. Everywhere is a roundabout. Oh, I believe it. I've been at the gas station when somebody will be filling a pickup truck and I'm watching the machine 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 118. I'm like, holy shit. I could almost imagine with some of these F-150s and F-350s that have dual tanks. With dual tanks, I think you hold about 80 gallons. Well, Linda, there are more and more cities that are starting to install roundabouts because they say it's easier on traffic control. They've started putting them in Michigan. Now, not so much here in Ohio. We do have some. But more and more cities and states are starting to go to roundabouts. Yeah, but what do you hold? About 80 gallons? At least 50. Because usually the second tank is a little bigger than the main tank. Because I'm trying to think, my buddy had an Econoline van that had twin tanks on it. And I want to say it held like 50 gallons. I mean, it's nice when you're driving along going, oh, I'm almost on empty. Oh, wait a minute. Click. Yeah, I'm good. Good to go. I got a full tank. Then tank number 2 gets down to empty and you're like, oh, shit. I have to take a loan out to fill the gas tank. And I know they advise you not to leave the second tank empty. They tell you to keep at least like 10 gallons in the second tank at all times. Yeah. It's nice if you're traveling, you're towing a trailer, you don't have to stop that often. But boy, when you stop, holy shit. I don't know if they put dual tanks on an F-150 anymore. Now I know the 250, the 350, the 450, yeah. I don't know if you can get an F-150 with dual tanks. I've never seen one with 2 gas doors. Well, I said 50 gallons. That's expensive fill-up. Especially when gas is, over $4 a gallon. Now my RAV4 has a 12-gallon tank, and the shitbox has a 15. I don't know what the Passat's got. I haven't checked the specs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Special order. Because I remember when the Ford dealer was up the street, in the spring, you would see a lot of the pickup trucks with dual tanks because they anticipated somebody towing a camper, you know. They'd order a bunch in. You'd see a big sign, camper special. But I haven't seen a standard F-150 with twin tanks yet. I usually look, you know, you can tell how OCD I am, you know. Oh, let's see, how many fuel doors does he have? One. Okay. That's like my neighbor's big tow truck. It has twin hundreds. It's got 100 on either side. I was like, holy Christ, can you imagine 200 gallons of diesel? Yeah, because the one day, well, when he first got it, whenever he buys a new tow truck, he brings it home, he parks it in the driveway. He backed in with that big monster. I went over, he's like, whoa, dual 100-gallon tanks, huh? And then I think it holds 20 gallons of DEF because you have to get that diesel emission fluid, that blue shit. Because the new flatbed that he's got, it's got a 5-gallon DEF tank. And the filler is in the front fender. It's like, Jesus. Yeah, all these diesels got to have that DEF tanks on them now. But I'll tell you what. These new diesels are quiet. I didn't even, when he was bringing it home like for the first week, I didn't even hear the sucker start. As a matter of fact, his, I guess, ex-wife, she had a Silverado with a diesel in it, and I wouldn't even hear it start in the morning. God, I remember when I had a Mercedes with a diesel in it. Clatter, 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 clatter. Sound like the engine was going to blow up. I miss that noise. Matter of fact, I had a, God, what the hell year was that Toyota pickup? I had a Toyota pickup with a 4-cylinder diesel in it. Clatter, clatter, clatter. I had an Eldorado with a diesel. My 85 Eldorado had a diesel in it. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Now you don't even hear it. She goes to work in the morning. I don't even hear the truck start. Talk about quiet. And even the big honking monster tow truck. You don't even hear them anymore. I feel sorry for the truckers, that would put the big straight pipes on with no mufflers. Now they put the pipes on and it's like, they don't make no noise anymore. Boy, I'll tell you what. The other night, there was an old Detroit going down the freeway. Man, I heard that guy going through the gears. That sucker was loud. And I mean, the freeway is 2 blocks away. I could hear him going through. It had to be an old truck. Because old Detroits were noisy. But I miss the sound. I mean, I wouldn't miss him with that big ass honking tow truck at 4 in the morning. But I wouldn't even hear that thing start. And like I say, her Silverado, it's a 2024 with a diesel in it, and I don't hear her pull in, I don't hear her leave. That is the quietest engine. I don't know how they managed to quiet them down so much. Yeah, they do. Because Kathy, her truck, when she was living here, she would back it up and the hood would be under my bedroom window. The engine is right there. I wouldn't hear it start. The only thing that would wake me up is the alarm. Ee. But the engine, as quiet as a gas engine. It's amazing how they got them, and even the big ones, the big honking semis, you don't even hear them. Of course, people love it because, back in my day, when that old Detroit, every semi you heard going down the freeway. Now the only time I hear them is if they got a jake brake. Then you hear them pop, 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 pop. But otherwise, because at night there is heavy semi traffic out on the freeway. Damn bug. I don't even hear them. The only thing I hear is the crotch rockets. You don't hear the cars anymore. You don't hear the semis. Just the noisy crotch rockets. Doing about 150 miles an hour. Well, I think it's about that time. We know where, right here, WDWL TV. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. I appreciate everybody being here, and we will meet again tomorrow night.